I want to discuss why Pitt Wrestling has grown so much as a program. They went from 4-11 back in 2018 to a winning record the following season, 13-3 in 2019. And of course, last year they had 8 dual meet wins with another winning season. But other than just the dual meets, man, Pitt has had multiple national semifinals and a national finalist in 2021. And I have no doubt that they're going to have another finalist at least this year. And tonight, I want to welcome each of those guys who have made history with Pitt in the recent years. And that is Cole Matthews and Nino Bonaccorsi. What's going on tonight, guys? How have you been with the new recent school year starting up?
Things are going good for me.
Yeah, good on mine too. Excited to be back for one more year.
One of the things that I'm always interested to hear is that we don't hear enough about is like, what are each of your guys' majors?
I'm a communications major.
I'm an English writing major.
Awesome. And Nino, you already got your undergrad, right?
Right. Yeah. So I graduated last year, obviously. Then just this year, I'm doing a certificate in like corporate relations. So just something to kind of keep me eligible and in class and stuff. So yeah, just more school.
No, that's awesome. And so how about each of you guys, are you guys living like on campus, off campus? You guys have a house? Do you have an apartment somewhere? Like how close are you to campus, each of you?
I was living like right off campus for about the first 4 years, and then I moved to the south side of Pittsburgh, which is right across the Birmingham Bridge. So it's a pretty easy drive right up to the field house.
Yeah, I was living off campus for 5 years I was like 5-minute walk to the Fitz, and then I recently moved this year to basically it's like the street over, but it's like a much nicer like townhouse. So still like 5-6 minute walk, but yeah, pretty close, but technically like off campus.
Yeah. So each of you guys comes from Western Pennsylvania in smaller towns, right? Cole coming from Greenville, Nino from Bethel Park. So looking at like those smaller towns compared to like the big city of Pittsburgh, how have you like adjusted to that life? Do you like living in kind of the small town more? Do you like living kind of in or around the city more?
I'll go first. I enjoyed actually moving to Pittsburgh. It kind of opened my eyes up that there's a little bit more outside of like where I grew up from. So I enjoy like the option to be able to go out and do things that I want to do.
For sure. And how about you, Nino?
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I'm like so close to Pitt's campus, so I feel like I was never really like going away to college.
Mm-hmm.
But it is nice. Like it is far enough away from home where I'm kind of like doing my own thing. But honestly, like I really like the aspect that it's like kind of in my backyard and I'm able to go home as much as I can because I'm like a real homebody. So while it's nice to like be on Pitt's campus and have like all the options like Cole said, it's equally as nice to go home and get some like home cooking.
Yeah, you can't beat that. That's for sure.
No.
So, but like Nino, you kind of grew up going to Pitt's campus a lot, right, with your brother there. So you were very used to it probably before you even got to college.
Oh yeah, I used to go to obviously all the Pitt matches growing up, and yeah, it's just kind of funny because when I was like little and going to these matches, I always picture myself wrestling out there, but it never really like hit me until I was. I'm like, wow, I feel like time really flies, and it's really odd like being in his shoes now after watching them for so many years. So it's just it's really cool.
For sure. It's probably like reversed now too. Yeah. With him coming back to watch you, and it's probably a little bit weird, but the small town coming to the big cities a lot different. I'm from Canonsburg, PA myself. So it's a smaller town as well. And so Cole, like, what are some of those things you talked about? Like there's a difference with like growing up small town to seeing some differences like around you. Like, has there been anything that's like kind of popped out to you? Like, man, like this is a lot different in the city.
There's nothing too shocking, but one thing that I always answer whenever people ask me something like that is the deer back home don't get as close to you as they do around Pittsburgh. The deer around here will stand up and let you feed them.
That's pretty crazy. They're just so used to it.
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that is that is awesome. And so one of the other things, Cole, that you've been getting into or have been into in the last couple years is one of the big things in the city and around the Pittsburgh area, of course, is Permantes. And you are a Permantes athlete. So what has that experience been like? Like, how did that come about with, I mean, I know with the NIL rules, and do you get to eat at Permantes for free?
Yeah. So I get hooked up pretty well from there. I get t-shirts, gear, and then each month I'll get $75 credit for any store that's Permantes. But at first I was like, hey, I should probably reach out to somebody. And I was telling my roommate this, who I also went to high school with. And he's like, I'll email some people. And then Permantes hit me back and was like, yeah, we'd love to start something like that. So it's been a pretty cool experience with those guys. And they always love throwing up posts of me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just saw them post something recently of you, and I just think that's the coolest thing because you know, like I said, being from Pittsburgh, Permantes is my favorite. It's awesome that you get those credits. So, what's your go-to at Permantes?
At first, it was the New Yorker because I like the spicy mustard, but I think now it's the buffalo chicken.
Oh, really? That's a little bit bizarre. Nino, what do you get at Permantes?
So I just go like the original. I honestly should venture out more with it, but like every time I'm there, I'm like, I know what I like. But he always mentions the buffalo chicken, so maybe it's time for a switch. I don't know.
Maybe
I love buffalo chicken, so I need to try that too. Like that's my go-to meal, like anywhere I go. And I'm like you, Nino, I gotta stick like to what I know, but I get the kibasi sandwich, and it's so good. But really cool. Nino, have you hit up any of like the NIL deals, or have you been kind of like playing back a little bit, not interested in that? I'm curious to hear your take.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I really didn't get into the NIL thing too much. When it was going on, it was like everyone was like in on it and stuff. So like the only thing I kind of did was I got this like last year when I was going to Serbia for U23s.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit before that, I got in contact with like a clothing brand, Constant Pressure. So that was like nice to have like some like custom shirts and some shirts to go out to like family and friends about like me traveling and stuff. But besides that, I really honestly didn't get into as much. Not that there's like I have anything against it or anything, but I just never worked out an email or anything to write. Like that was the other thing. Like whenever I thought about maybe doing it, I was like, I don't even know what to write. So I just really never got into it. But I feel like I missed out on the boat. I don't got free Permantes now, so I gotta pay for everything, which kind of stinks. But
yeah, well, that's the biggest thing. You're missing out on Permantes. But I'm surprised you didn't figure out something to write. I mean, being a writing major, like, come on, man.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it was just like I just felt like I don't know. I know. I probably should have. Maybe I will with this last year. Maybe
You're too busy in the wrestling room.
Yeah. Honestly,
I'm sure. So, like, how often have you guys been training this season so far?
So well, we go pretty much every day. We're off Wednesdays and Sundays, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like twice a day. It's preseason right now, so it's just the runs and stuff were pretty tough, but yeah, we're in the thick of things right now, I'd say.
And the thing I mentioned at the beginning of the show was like that success really over the past couple of years, especially over that time period, like especially since you guys have been in school, how like is there anything specific that pops out to you as like this has been part of the reason why the program has been so successful and very much on the uptick? Is there anything that pops out to you, Cole, first?
For me, I think personally speaking, I found consistency in like my training and taking care of myself. So after I got through like my redshirt year of just figuring out the college life, the college training, just the way that people competed and like how serious other guys in the country take it, I just kind of learned from that and figured my own way.
Is there anything like big difference, like eating wise, training wise, in that redshirt freshman year that like was just a huge adjustment?
Well, I was doing it the wrong way. I was always just sucking a couple pounds of water right before it told me to make weight. So I was like, I should just get my weight down and quit being fat. So I
So
started feeling better in my matches a little bit.
I'm sure. So now are you like pretty much walking around the weight you need to be throughout most of the season then?
Yeah, close enough anyway, where I can still feel good while I'm training, because I used to just feel miserable, cut the water out, and compete miserable. So it's like I need to fix something.
Well, that's awesome that they're able to change that, and it's probably part of those like freshman mistakes that you don't like even think about coming from high school to college.
Yeah.
But Nino, how about you? Like anything successful that stuck out to you as why the program's the way it is?
Yeah, I really think like we had a real culture change over the last few years. I think obviously with our new coaching staff, I think the culture of the team changed into more of like a team that like expects to win. I think a lot of the guys on the team, including myself, just really bought in to the coaches' training aspects, their mindset and philosophy. So I really think as time went on, we all bought into that and we're really focused on, getting better every day and competing as a team. And obviously it helps when you find success as a team and individually. So once you start seeing that, I think it just becomes more of an expectation to win. And then, as our recruiting classes come in, they see that and we get these young guys on board early. So yeah, I think that's kind of been the main thing. I just think we know we're good now and we expect to win. And yeah, I think a lot of us are just into that.
And so, like, compared to when you first started school, like, you think maybe that you weren't like expecting to win necessarily as a program, or was it is like a different mindset compared to those incoming freshman guys now?
Well, I don't want to say that I don't think like, previous teams obviously didn't want to win or expected to win, but I
Sure.
just think we found a lot of success with our guys. And I just think, it's the norm now to be a little different, stay after really making this like your priority sort of thing. I think a lot of guys are, when you buy in to go to Pitt and you sign on the line, I think there's an expectation that comes with that. And I think now more guys are really doing that more than ever. Not to like say other teams weren't, but I just think now we have a lot of success with that. And I think it's now becoming the norm to not, you know, be all in. I think now it's kind of if you're not all in, you're almost like not like an outsider, but that's just not what we're about. And I think that really builds, and I really think that's showing. It's like all our guys now, even our younger guys, we come in and they're all, we're all getting a lot better every day, and it's fun to see and be around, especially.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see. And like you guys have had a couple of transfers in the offseason too come into the program. Have those guys like bought into the culture as well? Is that maybe part of the reason why they even like kind of transferred there? I mean, I'm sure you don't know every little thing that went into their thoughts, but just curious about some of those new guys on the team too.
Yeah, I mean, we got Casto, who moved in from Citadel, and he's a beast. You saw his national tournament last year, but him and the two Heller brothers, Holden and Reese, those guys are all in. They're crazy for wrestling. And it's just good to see, because you're like, whew, we could win ACCs now with these three dudes coming in.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's what I'm really looking forward to from your team this year. But it's great to hear that all those guys are just adding to that culture. And speaking of ACCs, you guys were recently honored at the football game. That was this past weekend, right?
Yep.
So can you talk about that experience, and were you able to like go out on the field for halftime? Is that kind of what it was like?
Yep. Oh, you can go, Nate.
Well, yeah, so we went out like during the first quarter, like between one of the breaks, but yeah, we were right on the sideline the whole time down on the field. It's pretty cool because the sideline where they put us at, like there was so much action there. Like we had 2 touchdown runs like go right by us, so it was like pretty crazy. But yeah, it was really nice to get recognized by the school and everything. And it wasn't just us. There was like some track people in our volleyball team, but just to have that recognition, and like some of our success last season, it's feels good. And it was really cool to get on the big screen at the game.
Yeah, that's really cool. Cole, have you been on the field before?
Yeah, I've been on the field, but not for like a recognition like that. I was out there when I was younger with my elementary football team, and then I was out there on my recruiting trip. So that was cool to get recognized in front of so many people at the football game. It would have been cooler if it was West Virginia, but we still got recognized.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely we're gonna get into that the backyard brawl in a second here, because I'm looking forward to that this season. First time it's brought back in quite a few years. But you look at some of these accomplishments, and Cole, you have 2 years of eligibility left. Is that right?
Yep.
And Nino, this is your last year. So I'm interested in hearing what each of you guys are taking into your approach to this season. Cole, we'll start out with you. Like, from last year to this year, making the semifinals, having an incredible run at nationals. Is there anything that you've kind of changed or adjusted in the off season, or has it just been like full speed forward with what worked from last year?
So I've been tweaking some things in my wrestling, but it's really just being like mindful of how I'm practicing. Like, I got pretty good at my front headlock, and then I got pretty good from an underhook, and it's like putting those two things together to score on my feet instead of just trying to be somebody I'm not. Like, if I'm trying to score, you don't see me shooting a bunch. You'll see me try to get to an underhook, get some fakes going, something like that. And I think that's one thing that our coaching staff and some of my teammates have helped me with, is changing myself into the wrestler that I'm best to be number one at, yeah.
For sure. Is that something where, like, last year you felt that you were adjusting to other guys' styles more as opposed to kind of being more yourself?
Yeah. So I'm a pretty good wrestler when it comes to like reacting and being on the defense. And that's usually where I find some of my points coming from, is being on defense and scoring from some weird scrambles, short offense, stuff like that. But then it's the difference of creating those in my own underhook or fakes or something like that I think is really going to help me this upcoming year.
No, that's awesome to hear about, and appreciate you sharing that, Nino. For you going into the last season, right, of eligibility that you have now, I'm sure that it maybe hits you a little bit differently going into this season. So, like, how have you approached coming into this last year?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good off season for me. Well, I feel like in wrestling, like, there's no off season. I feel like you're always just training. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like you said, I feel like I'm not taking it as in like it's like my last year, like it's like I'm making it a big deal or anything. I'm just really looking forward to just getting back out there and competing. Last year didn't really end how I would have liked, so I feel like it was kind of like a blessing in disguise. It took me a little while to kind of comprehend that and kind of figure that out, but I think that was kind of the best thing for me, and it's really, I don't know, it's really changed my perspective on a lot of things and how I'm wrestling, and I think it is making me a better wrestler in person, and I feel like I have a great mindset coming in this year. I feel like now it's going to be a good time to go out there and take it, because I feel like you said last year I had some success, and then last year you go in off that success, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little different chasing the titles and kind of when you have this success and you're trying to hold on to that. So now I have that perspective of, now I'm going to go take it. And I think that's what making me so excited is, a hungry lion hunts best is a quote I've been thinking. So I'm just really excited. All the training and all the stuff that's going on, I'm just ready to get back out there and just earn it.
Hungry lion hunts best. That's a great quote. That's really neat to hear in the mindset going into this season. I'm glad that you're so excited for it too. So as you look into prepping for this upcoming season, I guess, you mentioned, or one of the things that I hear a lot of times is like, you learn more from your losses sometimes than your wins. Have you found that to be true from the past postseason?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's well, I think a lot of when I was younger, more so like in high school and early college, sometimes you take those losses and it's like, I don't know, sometimes they're hard to like swallow, they're hard to accept. So you kind of avoid, I don't know, talking about them or like seeing like what actually went wrong. And I think it's over these past few years, especially this year, it's good to take a hard look at like what you need to fix and what you need to change. So I feel like, like a heartbreaking loss like last year really makes you kind of look at yourself and be like, okay, here's what I need to do and here's what I need to fix. So yeah, I learned a lot from losses. A lot of the time it's more from like how you felt, like what was going through your head instead of, like maybe this little move here and there, which obviously is important too. But yeah, I take a lot from my losses now, and yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that is like just difficult to watch those sometimes. And so what I'm curious about is, for each of you guys, like, are you one, like, how soon after, right, a match like that, like a loss you weren't happy about, right? Are you reviewing that loss? Is it that night? Is it the next day? Is it a month later? And the second part of that question is like, who are you reviewing it with? Is it yourself? Are the coaches reviewing that with you? Is it like your dad, Nino? Like, is who goes into that? So I'm curious, Nino, and then I'm curious about your answer too, Cole.
So so if it's like a tournament, obviously there's a different mindset on how you take your losses. You kind of have to, accept it. It happened, and then kind of move on. Because if you dwell too much during a tournament, that'll hurt you in your next following matches. But for duels and stuff, and even like for the last day of a tournament, I like to watch it as soon as possible while it's fresh in your head, and you kind of like know what's going on. Sometimes you look at it too late, and you're like, oh, like that makes sense. But so I like to watch it by myself. Oh, my AirPod almost fell out. I like to watch it by myself and then analyze what I did, and then talk to my coaches, hear what they have to say, rewatch it, and then, like you said, obviously my dad always has tips, whether he watches it or not. So he's always in my ear about something. So yeah, I got a lot of people. I got a good support system on on what I can improve, and fix and stuff. So that's kind of how I handle it.
Yeah, no, that's neat. And how about you, Cole? Like, how soon after a loss or even a win, like, are you kind of analyzing those matches? Are you going with those with the coaches? Like, is Pletcher reviewing those with you, or some of your other coaches? Like, how does that look for you?
Yeah, we'll usually talk about it, but like Nina was saying, with a tournament, it's different. You got to have you got to get over it faster if you're losing at a tournament, because like you're still wrestling. The dual meet, you can analyze it and get right back to it the next day if it's a home match, or right on the plane you can pull it up or something. But with a tournament, it's definitely got to be like at nationals. You got to have a short mindset on that. It's like you can't be stewing over a loss like my semifinals match and then dropping down, which I may have did a little bit that whole night of losing to Clark. But you just you gotta grow up and get over it and go out and win the next one.
Yeah, no, that's quite the answer there for sure. And I know, like, as you drop down to the consies, your last match you wrestled of the season was against Real Woods when he was at Stanford. Now he's at Iowa, and you're wrestling him one of the first matches of the season at the All-Star Classic, right? So,
Yep.
how was it being asked to wrestle in that event? And are you excited for the return of the event and that you are wrestling in it?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. You grow up watching it too. It's like I remember seeing Kyle Dake versus David Taylor. Like that's the coolest thing ever. Like these guys are wrestling before the season even starts, and then that same year they wrestle each other in the national final. So it's like that's something I would like to do.
And so this year, like, you wrestled him last year, last match of the season, and now you're wrestling him again, like, just a few months later. Are you taking like different approaches to that match? Have you been looking at film of that? Like, how are you taking it? I know it's early in the season, but are you full steam ahead on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pull up our match, and obviously I had that big throw against him, which helped me end up winning. But I'm gonna figure out a way to get out on him. First of all, like he rode me the whole second period, which is not good. And usually, if you get rode out for a whole period, you're not winning a match. So I'll probably go back to the drawing board on how to get out on him.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure, like, the fans see him differently now, going from Stanford to a legacy program like Iowa. How do you view that? Do you care? Like, does that bother you? Would it give you more excitement to beat an Iowa singlet, or like, does that even matter to you?
Now he's a villain. Everyone loved him at Stanford, but now everyone doesn't like him in Iowa.
For
No,
sure.
but I like Rio, and I'm excited to wrestle him again.
No, that's awesome, and yeah, you'll have a lot of fans cheering for you. I'm sure, so rooting you on. And like I mentioned, the All-Star Classic, but some of the other things that have been coming out recently, right? are the rankings, right? Cole, you're ranked number 1 by Intermat. Nino, you're ranked number 10 at 197. Do you guys pay attention to that at all? Does that matter to you going into the season? Like, how much does that affect your style? Nino, I'm curious, starting with you.
I don't take that into any consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this past summer, I really am like blocking a lot of that stuff out. I'm really not really on social media anymore. I try to get away from it because I feel like a lot of that stuff is just stuff for, I don't know, stuff to make you overthink and analyze your ranking and worry about your ranking. All stuff that's really not what's important to me and what my priorities should be. But I get it. It's like I know obviously rankings are important to the fans and everything, but I don't take that into any consideration. And yeah, I don't really think about it too much.
And I want to get back to that social media blackout in a second, because I that's something that I noticed. So I'm curious to hear in a second. But Cole, how about you with the rankings? Is that something you even worry about?
Not much is worry about. I wouldn't say worry about, but I hear about it. Like I get people congratulating me, and I'm like, I haven't wrestled in months. What are you talking about? Like on the ranking, I'm like, oh, like it only makes sense, right? Like everyone graduated, I'm 1 now, so it's like I didn't do anything for the congratulations. I don't know why you're congratulating me on being ranked 1. Like that's what people were thinking, but I think it's funny when people say congratulations, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's really funny because you don't like feel like you earned it yet, right?
No, I
But
didn't. I
like,
didn't win anything. Why are you congratulating me? It's not like I
it's
won
cool.
nationals.
It's cool to have that number 1 spot for sure. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. That's really funny. So, like Nino, you mentioned that social media blackout. I noticed that your profile icon on Instagram, and I haven't checked everywhere else, but I'm sure it's similar, is just a black screen. Like there's nothing there. And you haven't posted in months on social media. So what went into the decision of you not wanting to go on social media anymore?
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because it's like it's something that I think a lot of people do, but they like announce they're doing it. They're like going off the grid or like, really getting off Instagram, which I think it's like funny because it's like, I don't know, you shouldn't really do it to tell people. So I feel even funny even saying it because I wasn't even going to say anything. But yeah, it was just something that I just felt like, like this whole off season and the whole season coming up, like I was talking about, I had like a whole mindset kind of adjustment, and I'm really focusing on what's important to me and what my priorities are. And I feel like over the years, a lot of the social media stuff was just, I don't want to say like completely negative, but it's just stuff that, I don't really care to see or really care to know what this guy's doing or who's ranked what. Um, it's just something I just figured, it's really not helping me in any way. If anything, it's like making me like, I don't know, be like addicted to it. So I'm just thought it would be a good idea to just get rid of it for the time being, not permanently. But because me and Cole got that check mark, so you don't get rid of that. But it's just something that I don't think, it's just not on my list of priorities right now, and it's something I'm just going to keep away for the time being and just focus on just winning and what I need to do.
That's hilarious that you brought up the check mark, but I appreciate those insights. And it's funny you mentioned like the people announcing it, like, oh, I'm going on a social media blackout, I'm getting rid of it for a week, I'm doing this and that, because I tend to agree with you very much. And I ran social media accounts at Campbell for wrestling team. Like I have to run it through the business, but I deleted like all of my personal accounts actually because I just couldn't deal with any of the extra negative. Now, granted, for you being a student athlete, seeing certain negative things about you or Pitt or whatever it is, that's different from like me just seeing random other negative stuff. But it's still like, man, like that just, it's not good to like fuel your mind with. And
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate you kind of sharing that, because like it's great and it's tough as student athletes too with the NIL deals, because you got to stay on it like for if you want these deals and to grow your brand and all that. But then it's like, man, it's a lot to look at. And how have you noticed like life in the last couple weeks. Like for me, it's been like almost 2 years now without my own social media. I'm on it just during like business hours, and so like at night I don't care about it. So like for you, and like my mind's like refreshed. Have you kind of felt like that yourself?
Dude, it's weird, but it actually feels like good. Like I feel um like you don't realize how often you like will go on your phone and just like mindlessly scroll. So it's actually like I feel like more like locked in a way. I don't know. I just feel like times that I would be spending like scrolling or like seeing something, I'm like doing something like more productive. So it's like it actually is like feeling good. And when I first decided I was gonna do it, I was like, dang, this is gonna be hard. I'm gonna like really wanna get on there. But like I haven't felt like a need to get back on it, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, the only downside I found right now is like I'm really out of the loop with stuff. So it's not even all the negative stuff, but like I like watching like UFC and all that stuff. So they'll be like, "Did you see so and so fought?" And I'm like, I didn't even know. Like I'm like really out of the loop with stuff. Like when the Queen died, I found out like a week later. They're like, "What happened to the Queen?" I'm like, I don't even know. So like that's the only problem. Like I'm kind of out of the loop with everything now. But like I said, yeah, it feels good so far. So it's no not too many problems have arisen.
That's funny. The other thing too is like you don't know people's birthdays or like like
That's
or
true,
people
yeah.
forget yours. Like you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish you a happy birthday. It's like, no, you didn't. It's like, well, I did on Facebook. Oh, well, I'm not on Facebook.
Well, dude, I feel like people are like, I know, I feel like that because people are like probably DMing me. I had like some freshmen come in, they're like, "Oh, follow me back on Instagram, bro." And it's like, it's probably like I'm being like this mean guy. I'm like, dude, I don't even have it anymore. So if anyone's listening, it's not personal.
It's not personal. It's business. It's locked in for the season. That's neat. And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about before we get into a couple questions here is your schedule this season. So holy cow. I mean, you have 14 duels, 7 home, 7 away. You have Iowa State and Lehigh coming to your home in Pitt. You have some Big Ten duels with Illinois and Maryland, plus one backyard brawl for the first time in many years. And before I ask you guys your thoughts on the backyard brawl, my first question to you is, do you think this is your toughest schedule to date? Or like, have you noticed that? Like, are you guys excited about this schedule?
I'm pretty excited. I mean, all the guys in my weight at for ACCs anyway, it's going to be a good match. But last year, I mean, since being in the lineup, it's like, man, these ACC teams, we might have a small conference of 6 schools, but it's like, we got some depth. Like me and Clark last year both making the finals, and then Jack making it to nationals and having some good matches with like Ironman. My weight was pretty good last year, and even more at like 74 and 97. It's like, man, we're deep for only having 6 teams.
Yeah, for sure. ACC is super deep, and oftentimes, like I feel like people can underrate the ACC for some reason. Where I'm like, man, like at many of the weights, like it is like one of the toughest. It not only one of, but like the toughest conference. Like those weights you mentioned. And Nino, how about you? Like looking at the schedule this year.
Yeah, man. Like Cole said, it's funny because you think there is only like 6 teams in it, but dang, every team is so solid. So it's like, so that's 5 matches right there that are already tough. And then honestly, I feel like every year, I mean, like every team has someone good on the team. So it's like, yeah, you might not wrestle like Iowa, for example, but you might have a team who has a stud in your weight. So it's like, well, everyone might have like a decent match. You're wrestling like the animal on the team. So I feel like it's hard to hide from the good guys and the good teams because everyone's just so tough now. So it's nice wrestling some new teams like we haven't faced so far. But as far as like competition, everything, like everyone's so tough. So it's hard to find an easy match nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. So one of those like newer teams, at least in recent years, is West Virginia. Pitt versus West Virginia happening this season. Talk to me after the football game, this past couple weeks. Now you guys have a dual meet coming up this season. Are you guys excited for that one? Does that one hit a little bit differently for you?
I'm excited. It's not like I hate West Virginia. It's just I don't like hearing them talk about Pitt the way they do. It's like you never see me like spouting off about, oh, I hate West Virginia, but it's like Pitt people are better than that, so you wouldn't see us do that.
Nino, you're pretty excited too?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, I'm not like too caught up in the whole like rivalry. They're just another team and another opponent for me. So, well, it is fun for the fans, but it's just another match for me.
For sure. And so the other thing that's coming back this year, hopefully it's on the schedule at least, is Midlands after the whole, fiasco that happened last year. So are you guys looking forward to a fully fledged Midlands again?
Yeah, I mean, I got what was the other one called last year? Was that Matman Open?
Matman Open, yeah. Still a tough tournament, but I know it's just like kind of fiasco in the last like week that it happened. It was canceled, and I'm sure you guys had to deal with like, we're not going and now we are going, and it was just a mess. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No,
but,
you're good.
Yeah.
Like we were getting messages from Coach Gavin. He's like, well, Midlands got canceled, and now we're going to try to do this other one that people are putting together, and maybe that might not work, so we might not have something. And then I was like, I'm already eating 6 cookies and drinking milk, and then we got to weigh in on a Wednesday now. So it's like it kind of throws things off whenever it's like a tournament on a Wednesday, Thursday, and it's Saturday, and you thought the tournament was already going to get canceled for like the whole weekend. So
yeah, seriously, it's Christmas time. You're maybe thinking like, all right, well now that we're not going to Midlands, maybe we can go to like Powerade or something, right?
Yeah, go
so,
watch
like,
some local. But
nuts, man. It's absolutely nuts. And so then at the end of the season, right? So after all these dual meets and tournaments and the tough, grueling ACC schedule, you got the ACC championships, which are down in Raleigh this year, which is actually where I'm based out of. So I'm excited because I'm going to be getting out to the tournament. A little bit of a ways for you guys, but many people believe that right now it's just a 2-dog fight with NC State and Virginia Tech. I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Why should we be paying attention to Pitt, to the Panthers?
you can go ahead, Nino, and then I'll fill in.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it's just from what we've been saying. This culture now, this success, this expectation to win. Obviously, NC State and Virginia Tech have been the 2 top teams in the conference, but like I feel like it's like so deceiving in a way, because while like obviously they are like doing the best, they're the top dogs right now, but we're like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th is like so close. So it's like, I don't know, just like I feel like it could be swayed so easily. You get a couple wins in these matches, these guys lose, and we're like, then you're looking at 2 new teams for 1 and 2, So I just feel like it's a lot closer than people think. And obviously, like we were talking about before, the transfers we got in, just the mindset we have this year, I think we're gonna make a lot of noise, and we're gonna do really good. We're gonna try to knock them off and get our first title. It'd be really nice for my last year to get a team title. I think we're definitely capable, and I'm excited to do it.
Love hearing that. Yeah, that's really exciting to hear. You already got me excited for the race as well. And Cole, what do you have to add to that?
Nino doesn't make anybody excited. He's like the most boring guy on earth. But I'll go off what Nino was saying about the culture and our guys. It's like when Keith got here, he didn't have much to go with. So even in his short span of being a head coach, it's like a culture takes time to build, and it takes like good guys like Nino and then some of our transfers coming in and Mickey. And I like to think of myself as one of the guys that helped switch the culture around here. And even Wenzel now, Wenzel's a coach, and it's like that's someone you keep to like help Casto and the Heller brothers coming in. And I think the future's bright for us, and I think that we will win ACCs this year. It'd be weird if we didn't, I think.
No, that's really neat to hear about that, the culture too, that, yeah, it does take time to build, but now you guys have all these guys sticking around and helping out with the program.
Yeah.
Like Wenzel, having Pletcher in there, having Gavin, like what a program you guys have built up. And so I'm excited for the season. I think ACCs are going to be a harder race than ever this year with NC State, with Virginia Tech, with Pitt. Like, man, it's going to be a lot of fun in dual meets and in the postseason. So let's get into some questions here for you guys. Somebody was joking about the cauliflower ear and the AirPods getting in there.
That's why they're falling out.
Yeah,
dude. I don't know if you know. I've been fixing them all thing. Like they don't stick. What's weird is like if I'm walking to class, I'll just do it now. I have to flip it like this.
Ew, dude.
I know I have to. Dude. It doesn't stay in, so I have to flip it. But if I'm just stationary, I could maybe work it. But he says, "Ew."
People are probably giving you weird looks, like you're walking. Like, what's this kid doing?
I'm just jamming out. I don't care.
That's really funny. So, one question Falcon the Wrestler asked: how did each of you guys get into wrestling? Like, how old were you? Is there somebody who was a big influencer on you when you were younger that got you into it? Cole?
I don't even remember like getting into it. I just remember wrestling. Like I feel like I never had a choice. It was like by the time you remember like getting into it, it's like I don't know. It's just I was getting beat up by both my older brothers for years on end, and then I just started wrestling. Like if it wasn't in the living room, then they would beat me up on a wrestling mat. So I didn't have a choice.
Well, yeah, and when you grow up in Western Pennsylvania, that's just how it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a choice in Western Pennsylvania. You're either wrestling or you're doing something that involves getting beat up.
Nino, how about you, man?
Yeah, like Cole said, I don't remember like a time in my life like before wrestling. I just feel like I don't know. Like my earliest memory is wrestling and like getting dirty like on the mat and stuff. So like I mean I do remember like because my brother wrestled obviously. My dad would just take me up to practice and I'd be like I had this corner. I'd always sit and play with, and mess around, and then I'd go to all his tournaments and I'd like try to it was so weird. I tried to like sneak in line in my brother's weighing line and try to weigh in, and I'm like 4 years old. So I'd be like, I just think just growing up in that environment, and yeah, I don't even remember when I like started, but I just remember just always being on the mat and just always looking to wrestle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have some comments that have been coming in about Western Pennsylvania legends. Happy to see Cole and Nino doing so well. And another question that came in is, he said, I'd like to know what it was like for Cole winning a PA state championship as a freshman. Not many have accomplished that. Cole, can you take us back to that time?
Yeah. I remember going, I was a cocky little kid as a freshman too. And I hate looking back and seeing how I acted when I was a freshman. But I remember my quarters match. I gator rolled this kid. It was Colin Glorioso. I don't know if you remember him, but I pinned him with like 6 seconds left in the match. And I should have never even made it to the state semis. And then I ended up winning. And then I wrestled Brian Courtney in the finals. But I mean, that was pretty cool. And I don't even remember it though. It's like, that's the thing about wrestling. It's like, we're always looking at what's next and you never really think about what happened before.
That's funny. Do you guys still like pay attention to the PIAA state championships? Do you watch them? I know it's kind of towards the end of the season, but like, do you pay attention to high school still at all? Just curious.
I don't really know. I'll hear the coaches talking about guys that were recruiting and stuff, but besides that, it's like, I don't really, we got our own season.
Yeah, I know about as much as like the coaches are telling us for like future recruits and stuff, but yeah, I feel like we're so far removed it's hard to like know who's who, but.
Yeah, it does feel like we're far removed now though. I feel old.
For sure. And that's probably one of those things you mentioned, going from high school to college. Like when you're in high school, it almost feels like, right, the state championships, I mean, that's it, man. Like that it feels like so big. I know you guys each had like larger goals than that, but like it's probably like a different feeling, like looking back on it now to when you were actually wrestling in it, right?
Yeah, it felt like if I didn't win states when I was in high school, then like my whole year was gonna be ruined. Like that was everything to me. Now I look back, I'm like, why was I like fretting so much about that? It's like nothing really matters till you get to college anyway. So,
dude, I felt like that during like PJWs. Like, if you didn't win PJWs, like, why are you here? Like,
you're never gonna make it.
You'll never make it.
I know.
Back when you were wrestling, like what, like 100 pounds?
Well, it's funny because like Colin Glorious, like he was my rival in PJW. Like we used to wrestle all the time. So it's so weird that you grow up and I feel like you never get away from those guys because they're always just like they're so good and they just go to college and keep wrestling them. But yeah, funny.
For sure. And it's also funny to see guys that like were so big when you were younger, like those big name guys that like, you're like, whatever happened to that guy? Like
there's so many of them, and it's like then I see them pop up on Facebook, like add him as a friend. I'm like, I remember like thinking this guy couldn't be beat, and now I haven't heard of him in years.
Yeah, no, that's actually hilarious. So, Bradley Smith said he used to practice at Reynolds during the postseason many years ago. Kind of cool to hear from that, Bradley. And we were talking about changes, right, from from high school to college. One of the things that Nathaniel Brown asked is how has the ACC changed over the years? And I know that's kind of a broad question, so I guess more like, have you guys seen it grow stronger, tougher competition over the last couple of years since you've been in school? Has it gained more spotlight, I guess, is to kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
I mean, when did we join the ACC? I think we've been in the EWL for a while, right?
Yeah.
Your EWL, and then we went to ACC. I'm pretty sure the ACC wasn't even remotely good, though, like whenever we joined it. I think
it was like 2014, I think.
Yeah, like UVA was winning at the time. That's when KG and Lean were there, and then those guys ended up. Well, Keith went to Oklahoma and then came to Pitt from there. But I remember when UVA won as a team, like 2014 maybe, and then seeing the coaches all move around and stuff. And that's when I was just like in high school, and I was like, oh, maybe Keith's gonna get this spot because he was a national champ. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like just like Cole said. Well, I feel like Maryland was in the ACC.
Oh yeah, they were.
Yeah. So it's fun because when my brother was in school, he had 2 years in the EWL, and then they switched to ACC, and they won the first year they went to the ACCs. So it was kind of like, but yeah, like Cole said, I don't want to say they weren't good now, but back then. But I feel like now, just like every team got better, and they're just so they're such powerhouses, not at the conference level, but even like the national level. So it's crazy to see. It's so fast too.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a team that you guys would like to, with all these conference changes and alignments and this and that, is there a team you guys would like to see join the ACC, whether a team that has wrestling or doesn't have wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
I like Clemson's colors, so I feel like that'd be cool.
Yeah. I was going to say Miami. I feel like Miami would.
Oh, yeah. They could probably bring in some big recruits.
For sure. Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to go to Miami?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Heck yeah. That I mean, if Clemson and Miami join the ACC wrestling, like, wow, that'd be super exciting. Like,
it'd be nuts.
Yeah, that'd be nuts. It'd make some headlines. So
I might leave Pitt then.
Yeah, maybe in the future. A couple more questions for you guys, and I appreciate all the answers you guys have given so far. One question that I have, okay, that I'm just curious about. Talked about Permanis, right? You guys got Dan Mancini on the team. Is he related to the Mancinis that make the bread in Pittsburgh?
I don't think so. I think he would have mentioned it.
I think I've asked him before, but I think I don't think there's relation there.
So.
Man, what a shame! Like you could have that great connection, like that.
If I find out that he did, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah. You could be getting not only free Permanis, but also the free Mancini's bread all these years. Like, that's an NIL deal you should be looking out for.
Mancini's bread. Maybe work up an email. I'll send it to Mancini.
You've had some time to work it up, Nino. Now maybe you'll finally have the perfect one. So somebody asked here, Cole, Victoria Wiley Wrestling asked, do you think you have a target on your back right now as the number one recruit? And do you like having that on your back? Does it give you any pressure, or kind of like you mentioned earlier, like it's cool, but you don't really feel like you accomplish it? Like how do you think about that?
I don't really feel like I have a target on my back. I'll joke around and tell people that I do, but it's like, it's nothing that I overthink. So being ranked one's cool, but It's like you still have to go out there and win. It's not like I'm gonna go out there and just panic because I'm ranked number 1 or go choke at nationals. I'm crossing my fingers, hope I don't now, but I'm not gonna go choke at a match because I'm ranked number 1. There would be other things behind that if that happened, but being ranked number 1, I feel like I don't have a target on my back now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like superstitious to say stuff like that because it's not as much. But like even rankings, a lot of times, I mean, they're mostly for like the siege in the tournaments and for fans to get excited about, for media to get excited about. It don't really mean anything until they're actually proven. And I say that time and time again. But it's good to hear the clarification from you guys as well with exactly what you're thinking with that. And let's end on a fun one here, guys. What is something that you guys, each of you, like to do off the mat?
It says Iowa Wrestling.
Yeah, Jason Brantley from Iowa Wrestling. So he may be rooting for real. So hopefully you can give him that excited match during this season.
Tell him, Cole.
I'm very boring, honestly. I watch a lot of TV shows and I play video games. So I don't have a stream like Spencer Lee does, and I'm not making money off Twitch, but I'm playing video games and hanging out.
That's funny. Are there any shows you've watched recently?
I just started House of Dragon. So.
Oh yeah, are you liking it so far?
It's kind of too much so far. It's a little gory and nuts, but I've enjoyed it.
Are you caught up all the way?
No, I just finished like episode 2. I was just downstairs watching it. But no spoilers.
No spoilers. Are you watching that too, Nino?
No, I'm actually watching the new Dahmer show on Netflix.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's nuts.
Talk about gore.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. I actually don't really like it. I'm just like too far in now to stop watching. It's kind of creepy.
Are you into like those crime type shows, like the?
My dad is. My parents are. They're like really into that. Like normally I would watch like Rick and Morty or like Breaking Bad or something. Like like I'm like I don't know. I'm actually looking for a new show. I think that's why I'm so like I try to watch this Dahmer show because I'm like I've been hunting for a show, but yeah. So.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you like Breaking Bad, the show that I recently finished was Better Call Saul.
So good.
It's so good, isn't it?
I had to buy season 6 for like $20-something bucks. I'm like, why isn't it on Netflix?
It was so good. It was so good. So you finished it?
I just finished it like 2 weeks ago. Yep. And I binged it for the last 2 months. Like I didn't keep up with it. I just binged that. It's great. Wow. I was addicted. I know.
That's crazy. Yeah, it started my freshman year of college. And like, so I've been like watching it along with, which is like worse because you're watching it week to week to week. Like binging it's a lot better, especially because it's like a slower burn of a show, you know? But man, the payoff at the end of that, again, no spoilers or anything, but man, like now I'm rewatching Breaking Bad because like just to see all the different connections and everything with it. So Nino, how about you? Other than TV, is there anything you do off the mat?
Yeah, well, I guess similar to Cole, I like to play video games as well, which I'm also in the hunt for a new game, so I don't know. But I guess like more so, I've been, if you asked my teammates, they would say no. But like I've been getting more into like going on like hikes and stuff, and like especially like back home. My brother just had a baby. So we would like walk around the park, and then it just became like a habit of like just wanting to go outside and like walk and stuff. So me and my girlfriend will try to find like trails and places to walk. So I feel like that's been pretty nice. I don't know. So I like hiking and stuff and bike ride and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm like cooped up like watching TV or playing like Apex or something. But yeah.
well, that's awesome. Congrats to your brother. And it sounds like you're really turning into more of like a recluse, like with no phone, now going out into hiking. Like soon we may find you like shacked up, like getting away from
Yeah.
society, from the city to like the country. We find out next year after wrestling's over, man.
Like a caveman.
Yeah, no, that's great though to hear about that. I appreciate you guys joining the show tonight and sharing all these insights into Pitt's success, into what we should look forward to this season from the team. And it's exciting for me as a fan to be able to watch you guys and to see what you are accomplishing this year. I'm looking forward to the All-Star Classic already, and of course the postseason. So thank you guys again for being on the show tonight.
Thank you, Fanco. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us, brother.
Absolutely, guys. And for the Fanco Wrestling Show, my name's Josiah. Good night.